Today we'll start with this. See, I have started adding to my blog whatever we are going to learn, and I think once you become people become consistent, and you have to basically dedicate some time when you're learning, okay, and you have to practice. Make sure you people practice, otherwise, as if you can't keep it inside your brain. Okay, though you have a lot of reference in the blog and all, but basically, if you don't do your work by yourself, you're basically losing time and energy and also other things. Hmm. I understand everybody is busy. The only person who is not busy is me, right? I write blogs, I write articles, I give the session, I edit the video, upload it. Hmm. Somebody in the video saying, keep put it in the high resolution and all. And so the demand keeps on going, but that's okay. Hmm. So last time, like when Vidisa had joined, she was asking why you're not able to do the retrieve, right? So I gave an example, like a simple layman term. I was trying to learn and how I should prepare my SSJS. The same way I tried to write in the blog. Okay. So my first blog last time, what we did was getting the account information, that's the business unit information, okay, and storing into data extension. Hmm. So what I did was, if you go to objects, okay, first, uh, this is marketing cloud. So here you get all the objects and for the SOAP API, and it has all the properties what you can get it from that particular object, okay? Especially the XSD one. You can get all these details when you do the retrieve. Hmm. So few attributes I added into my data extension. I created a data extension. Okay. And these are the attributes that I added: name, ID, account, business name, subscriber key, sorry, customer key, address, city, state, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Then the first thing that we do, the first thing is we create a data extension. Okay. And then we write the SSJS script. So this is how I write a script. Now, first is as I said, this is the opening tag, right? And this is for loading the library. And then we first always give the try and catch, okay? And the closing script, closing tag. For retrieve, we have a simple function, object.retrieve. Okay? And once we do that, what we can do is we can basically uh, we can write this, okay, and get the value and see what whether we are getting the right property values in our. And so first what we can do is we can go and create an email and try to write this code into the email, okay, and see what happens. It happens like in the email, like I created an email and I was doing a preview and test. So this is what it says. Okay, create object function is not valid in this context. In content, this function is only allowed in non-sendable content. So he's saying retrieve request, the retrieve request, you can't do it in preview and test, but I have seen data extension retrieve and all. When you're sending an email on, it works. So normally retrieve, you should not use it in your email. Okay, that's what they say here. So now somebody like who does not have who have emails to who can create an email, they can basically test. Okay, so let's see. This was the email I think I've written here. So this is what I had written, and I was just doing a preview test, and I was getting that error, right? So this there. Now, what is the next step? The next step, I can't do it inside the email. Okay. So what I do is I'll go and create a code snippet, right? So you create a collection inside a cloud page. Okay, inside a cloud page, I've shown like how you create a code snippet. You go here, give a name. Okay, I'm just giving you a random name and select JavaScript. And then once the page opens, like I did here, and I wrote the same code here. Okay, and I save and publish. Okay, and then again save and publish if I've made any changes. And what I did was I simply not only see I didn't only even write the code to just write the at values here. Okay, what I also did was there's another assist function where I can add rows into data extension. Or when we do add and other functions, we'll explain this in detail. But I have given this here as well. Okay, the full function here I have written this here, and let's see what happens here. I have created a data extension for account details. Okay, this was the things that I've captured here. All this you can add other attributes as well. That what you want to store. Hmm. So this is the cloud page, a content code resource, and see, uh, I have to hide this, but this is what the details it will look like. And then if I just go back and open the details before jumping there, let's take the code and let's see line by line. Well, if you people don't understand, you can stop me and ask me a question. Okay. Very simple. Retrieve whatever retrieve I'm doing here. Very simple codes. So if you see here, okay, uh, this is how you do the account retrieve. Okay, and this line I intentionally kept here with this comment so that if you want to see all the attributes, what you are getting when you do the retrieve, when you do write.stringify and this variable name get account, okay, and when you do publish and you hit the URL, you'll see whatever all the data that it fetches, you'll get it. You'll see in the uh, that browser. Okay. After that, what I did was I commented this, and just to make it little readable, I just wrote name is the name, right? ID, what is the ID? What is the account type? What is the business unit name? What is the customer key? What is the address, physical address, and that what is stored in the setup? All these things will be printed. Are you all following me? What I'm saying here?
Yes.
Okay. Then I don't want to explain this when we do the add functions. Okay, when we do go with the add functions, then we'll go here. But I've given a reference like how can you all can store into a data extension. So this was related to the business unit data that you want to retrieve and store in the data extension. Okay. Now let's move to the other one. So
Sorry, Shashi. ये जो stringify we use ना in this syntax part. So just for storing the information or presenting the information as a string, right? Or any other purpose?
no, just to print. Basically, it is retrieving you a JSON
Yes.
format.
Okay.
Right? This account will be a JSON format. So if you have to print, when you're
Hmm.
printing, it has to be a string. That's why I'm saying is stringify. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, there's also a parse JSON function, which you can parse it and then again do it. Okay. So it was just to make it a string, a JSON into a string and see in the screen.
Okay.
Now, when you want to print, I'm going to each uh, object. Okay, so I'm saying get account variable dot name. So this can be an array, है ना? JSON array हो सकता है ना? तो JSON array के लिए इसलिए first object because it's only I'm looking for one business unit. So that's why I said 0.
Okay.
Array का 0 and the property. ठीक है?
Yeah, understood.
Hmm.
But Shashi,
So let's say, uh,
if you have more than one data extension, and how will you specify that respective number?
no, yeah, we are going there. Like here, currently in
Okay.
the account,
Okay.
I simply see I can if
Ah,
you let's say go to this
URL ID, right?
account function. First, listen here. Okay, we are going to the documentation. Okay, and inside here account function. Inside this account function, what we are going here, we are going into the retrieve function. Right now, in the retrieve function, you have one ordinal inside it, where I said is not required to have an ordinal. Okay, they said you need one ordinal which has to be a string which defines a criteria. Like an example here, account.retrieve. And if you want to do a retrieve, you have to pass here, let's say, customer key equals to that particular business unit customer key, right? Or I can say property name, okay? Simple operator equals value equals to that account, that particular business unit. Let's say I take this example here, and let's say uh, I come here, okay, and I give this here. Instead of this, I say first I have to create. I'm creating a filter, okay. So filter, filter. Okay, you can create a complex filter. You can create a simple filter. When we go slowly as we progress, you will see a lot of things we can do. So, यहाँ पे like what we are doing, we were getting customer key in the properties, right? We have in the properties, we have name, we have ID, account type, business name, customer key, address, city, state, country. Okay. Now, if I say name, and I'm saying name, and the business unit name, let's say is Sasi, okay? Or if I say uh, IMIA, if I have a business unit with the name IMIA, right? Now, here I have to add a filter, go here and add a filter. Oops, there's a filter. Okay. Inside the config or filter. So I added a parameter, one ordinal, right? Now it will retrieve me for a business unit called IMIA. Okay. Now, if you say simple operator, if you modify to like, and I say like IMIA or say IMIA, maybe you have business unit called what is it? Suppose you have a business unit which is like IMIA UK. Suppose, like for example, okay, IMIA France, and then EMEA, Spain, and so on. Okay. If you have this kind of a business unit that you have inside your instance, and if I'm saying like, then obviously it is going to return more than one data to me, Lakshmi. Okay. Then I have to basically do a for loop and then start adding it. Also, in another example where I'll get more than one record and how I'm going to add it. Following me?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Now we'll go to the next one. Okay. This is just a business unit, and this is for account. So now if I would like, obviously in a business unit, we'll have a lot of users, right? So the same example, I take this and let me paste it here. Okay. So if you see uh, here, the only function that I'm changing, only the thing that I'm doing here is changing the object to account user. Okay. So I'm trying to fetch the account user from this business unit. Hmm. And the second, this line number 7, you can just ignore for now. I'll tell you later. This is to this particular function is to store the data into a data extension. So which data extension you want to store? That what we are doing is first initializing the data extension, and then this is the variable account user d, and inside the account user d rows dot add करके हम key value pair, we are passing the key value pair and storing it. Hmm. Now here, just ignore this line. Okay. Now coming here is like similar, like, okay, I got this get users, get account users, okay, and this will not be a single row, it will have a multiple row. Now, this is just to write a description saying, okay, what I'm doing, get the account user details and store it into a data extension, right? And then I'm using a for loop. Now, how long this for loop has to run? It has to run based on this JSON array's length. Okay, you can consider JSON array and it's getting a length. So the number of records it fetches, dot, when I use dot length, it will give me the number of records. The similar way, so inside of for loop, I'm printing all the values. Okay, what is the name of the user? What is the MID? Okay, what is the account user ID? What is the customer key? What is the user ID? Is have they said must change the password? Okay, is this is this user or API user? When it was created? When it was modified? And all these things you can see. Okay, like if you just write stringify.get account user, you'll get all the attributes that you want, and you'll see some values are getting populated as 000 or something. So I've written a very minimal number of properties, not all the properties, but just for a demo, I wrote this. Okay. And from here, I'm going to add it into a data extension one by one. As the for loop reads, okay, it keeps on adding. But here we have rows that add. So this is also an array, okay, or JSON array. So here also you can give comma and keep on adding. There is another way to add also, but I have already used a for loop, so I used in this fashion. So anyway, this is already there here. I have already created here. Okay, and I have a account user business unit. Okay, account user details. So these are the details that I have created here. Okay, data extension with all these properties. And now, if you see, there are 0 records here, right? So let me run this. I'm printing those values also, but I don't want to show it in the screen because anyway, after when I have to publish, I have to just hide this screen. Okay, so this is done. And then if you just refresh, you'll see all the records coming flowing here. Is that clear now? Lakshmi and Ankita, how like
Yes.
how I'm before that I was doing 0, right? Here I'm using this variable I. We start with 0 and goes up to the length loop. है ना, for loop, simple for loop चला के उसको डाल रहे. Clear? Sumit and Amber, is that clear for you as well?
Yes, yes, Shashi.
Okay. Well, so this is for user details that I'm getting. Okay, I'm not going to content area. Then I basically want to go what I've given in the enable event. So the second example was account user details. Okay, and we are totally focusing on retrieve functionality for today. Now, second one is write an SSJS script to retrieve data extension details and store into data extension. So I'm trying to fetch, okay, what all data extensions I have in my marketing cloud in this particular business unit. And what are those data extensions? Is it sendable? Is it testable? If it is sendable, okay, which field we are using to make it a sendable data extension and all. So for all these details, I have created this one, okay, but I think I updated this data extension fields. It's a primary. Let's see. It's data extension retrieve. No. Where did I get data extension? Okay, let me copy it from here. We, I created all this maybe yesterday or day before yesterday, not for that. Okay. So yeah, the same thing we are doing. Okay. Similar to the previous user account users. Similarly, I'm doing a retrieve for data extension. Okay. And when I'm doing for data extension, the same thing. I'm using a for loop. I'm printing this value. Okay. And I'm also storing into a data extension. Following me?
Yes,
Same है
Shashi.
इसमें कोई इतना difference नहीं clear ना so if you see here I created one automation also okay inside like what I did in code snippet sorry code resource I can also create a script activity and store it here so if you see this uh, extension details I'm copying this code okay and I put a script activity let me add it here okay script activity and this is SSJS extension feeds. Okay, I'm showing you to SSJS folder. I copied this code. Okay, I just need to change the data extension custom key, which is basically this one. So let me copy this and update this. Okay, validate and so my script activity is ready. Okay, in the automation, I'm just going to run this. Currently, if you see, these are 0 records here, right? There are no records. Okay, so let's run this one. Save. I'm just going to run only one. Okay, so this one I'm selecting this and run. So it started running. See, it ran successfully. Okay, let's see. Yeah, you see, 206 detections are there. And I can see, okay, what are the description? It is sendable or not? It is testable or not? I'm even getting the category ID where it is stored, which in which folder it is getting stored. Okay, or the customer key when it was created, when it was modified. Uh, Sendable data extension field is the email address. Okay, and it is related to underscore subscriber key. Following me?
Yes, Shashi.
Okay, are you people understanding what I'm saying? Yes,
Yes,
hope
yes,
you
Shashi.
people are understanding. Na? Ekdam simple sa hai, right? Now, we did for data extension to find out whether data. Now, inside, like, okay, here I got 206 data extension, right? I know the customer key and all. Okay. So what I can do now next is I have to get all the fields inside the data extension. I made it very simple, but I could because I'm storing all those data extension into my these all data extension into this data this particular data extension and put a data extension details here. I can do a lookup and then I can run for each data extension, just populating the this init function. Okay, this is not the one. Wait a minute. This is correct. This is the one. So I can choose here. Okay, let's go here. So I did a first layer. See, data extension retrieve was simple. Data extension dot retrieve. This line was what we did initially was data extension dot retrieve, right? But I need to retrieve the fields. Okay, I got 206 data extensions. Now for each 206 data extension, what are the fields inside that particular data extension, right? So if I say this one, okay, or let's say I stored here And let's say let me take any random. Okay, let's take this one. So this is the customer key. I paste it here. Okay, and what was the name of the data extension? Test subscriber. Okay, and if I copy this extension, okay, let me go to the code resource. These are the data extension fields definition. Anyway, I'll replace what is written here. I think the same thing is written, right? So just needs to change for that now. And I pasted this one. Okay. This customer key, I copied it from here and I pasted it here. I save this, publish this, okay, and now I can see, okay, what is the attribute name, email address, okay, what is this field type is of text, is this primary key? No, it's false. What is the max length? 50. Ordinal is for 5. Default value, there is no default value. Storage size is plain. Okay. So all the attributes they have defined here, I can print it here. Following me?
Yes.
Yes,
So
Shashi.
what I could have also done is I could have done a lookup rows function. I could have used lookup row function from this data extension. Okay, and from this data extension I could have extracted this particular customer key, and for each uh, data extension I can retrieve all the fields and store it into data extension. But I didn't want to make complex in the second day session too. But this can be done. So the first storage of this one can be used in the second use case. Follow me?
Yes.
Example number 5. Okay. Now, in example number 5, what I'm doing is I want to get a business unit related tracking information, like how many emails I have sent, okay, how many total sent that had occurred, how many bounce that had occurred, different type of bounces, okay, total click, unique click, total open, unique open, and how many have unsubscribed, unique unsubscribed. Okay, so tracking was tracking. Copy, paste it here. So here I use a filter criteria saying that customer key equals to this particular business unit. So I gave a customer key. You can give it by name also. The customer business unit name equals to give the name of the business unit. You can do that way. Okay. I'm giving this to not make, I'm doing in some sandbox environment. So I don't want to give the name. Okay. But you can do with your name as well. After that, what I do is line number 9. Let's make it little readable. Okay. So here what I do is, this is the function that I'm calling account label tracking, account.tracking.retrieve. And I'm adding a filter. Okay. Now, here I just made it because in all other functions, I was not using the filter. So I wanted to show that you can also use the filter in this retrieve function. So I
Shashi,
added a filter.
here I want to be clear about, like, filter is nothing but a variable and we can name anything, right? We just want to make it clear to us.
Filter means, okay. So filter means filter has 3 ordinals. One is the property, second was the operator, third one is the value. So I'm saying filter by customer key equals to this. I can
Okay.
say filter by name equals to business unit name. Filter by say some other things like in the business unit, if you see here, let's go back. In the business unit, this was the account details, right? For the business unit. This account details means business unit details. right? So I can filter it by name, I can filter it by ID, I can filter it by business name, customer key, even with address, city, and all. I can use any of the properties here that is here in the business unit attribute. So this is a business unit account that we did for the first time, that the first example that I saw. Understood?
Yeah, actually we were using where filter now, so it seems that it is a variable and we just named that variable like filter.
See, this is a filter. Okay,
Mhm.
I can directly copy this one and add it here. I'm using here because I can keep on modifying based on whatever I
Okay.
want. After that, method is filter ko. What I can also do is I can add a complex filter. Okay, so if you go and see uh, this filter, okay, so you'll see a lot of SSJS filter being used. Say somebody is using. If you see here, okay, you have a lot of filters here. See, equals, not equals, greater than, less than, is null, is not null, greater than, okay, less than or equal to, between, in, like, whatever you can use.
Okay,
So
so
it should
filter is
reference to these
something,
operators.
a key
Yeah, पे
terminology
देखो ना.
we use in SSJS.
So simple operators. What are the simple operators? These are the simple begins with, between, contains, ends with.
Yes, yes.
But we are just considering on the SSJS, so I don't want to go here and there. No? Once
Okay,
we
okay.
slowly progress, then we can go there and say what kind of filter we can use, how we can add complex filter. That is a different uh,
Mhm.
session we can do. Okay.
Got it.
So I'm adding a filter. I just want details of this particular business unit. So I added a customer key so that people uh, I have to just simply, key customer key. If somebody use it in their own business unit, it will not work, right? And I'm not showing this so that nobody should know which sandbox I'm using. That's the reason I'm using customer key. Okay. And this particular customer key, where did I get? The first example that I showed you, right? So from that, I was storing into a data extension, like let's say this one, when I'm using SSJS account. The first example that I showed you here, example number one, right? When I was doing this example number one, I was getting all the details about this business unit. Now I'm currently in example number, I think in number five. We have already jumped to number five, right? So in the number five, I went to the data extension, copied that customer key and pasted here. Okay. Now, if I go to this account tracking, and I'll show you what I've done in the last. I've made it little uh, labeling of all your playing fields here. Okay. So what I did here, now I'm saying how many cents did occur? Total cents is 336. How many bounces? Total bounce, there is two total bounce. There was one hard bounce. There is no soft bounce. There is no black bounce. There is no technical bounce. And there was some unknown bounce that had occurred. Okay. Clicks, how many clicks? There were total 164 clicks. And out of that 164, 30 were unique. Okay. Opens, total open was 534 and unique is 102. On subscription, there are two unique on subscription. So I'm just getting the tracking information. Okay. I think tracking information, okay, I didn't add it here, but I can add it into data extension. I'll show you. I've created that one as well. Here, tracking. So when you add it into data extension, this is how your tracking information will look like. I'll show you how I get the data. Let me clear this, and I'll show you once we move progress. We'll show that as well. Okay, clear till now? How we get the tracking information also for about the business unit.
Yes, Shashi.
Okay. Now, this one is quite interesting, I found. Okay. So this is basically fetching all the time zones that we have inside the marketing cloud. Okay, it's a very simple example. It will not take much of time also. Okay. So date retrieve. So it is basically not a date retrieve, it's basically a time zone retrieve. Okay. So I'm retrieving all the time zones. You see? So all time zones are Central Standard Time, Casablanca, Greenwich time. Okay. All these times we can add it into a data extension. Here I simply did date time zone dot retrieve. This is the function, and these all functions you can basically go here and go on based on that object, like say date time function, and inside a date time function, go to retrieve and just hit the retrieve and see what uh, values you're getting, and you can store it into a data extension if you need. Okay. For my use case, I don't need, so I'm not storing it anyway. Okay. Now I came with if you people understood what I was saying till now. Now there I was basically doing a very generic thing. Okay. Now I made it little complex, and but with complexity comes the reusability, right? So whatever I showed you here, because I'll be showing you in this code resource, and for cloud page and code resource, you have a timeout period of maximum 2 minutes. Okay, if it keeps on running for 2 minutes, it will give you a timeout. So you can run it in script activity, but if you are running in cloud page or or code resource, you have to make sure you are not doing all this retrieve with huge values, millions of records. It will time out and you'll land into issues. So what I did was, see, first my function was a retrieve account. So inside here, I said account.retrieve. Okay. Another one was retrieve account user. So I said account user.retrieve. Another one was data extension. I said data extension.retrieve. Okay. I have used 3 different functions. On top of that, I wrapped with my own function. Okay. Retrieve account user, retrieve data extension. So I don't have to write dot and all those things. Now, to add it into data extension, I created my own functions saying add account records, okay, into this data extension. I'm neither giving to which subscriber key and what this record is basically a JSON array. Okay, this is I have created 2 different parameters to add it. So this for account records. So at the users, similarly, I did a user function, okay, and I'll use a loop. Everything, there is nothing hard coded here, right? You can see from the beginning, I was here, okay. I haven't used any hard coding here, okay. And then the third function, this is I think the 6th function, number 6. Add data extension properties. This is basically description of that particular data extension that I'll be doing. Okay. Here I did the 3rd or 4th example that I showed you there. Okay. So I basically made it the way I write a comment and all. I can even do it more. I do a lot of comments and documentation when I write a code, right? But this is I just prepared before I came to session. So that's what I write. Okay. So here what I do, try and catch. Okay. And then I said retrieve account. I'm retrieving the account. Okay. And then what I did was, I was basically in previous example, I was giving you the customer key values, hard coding. I was doing the hard coding, right? If you all remember, let's see. Okay. If I go to the first one, let's say example number 1. Okay. When I was adding to a data extension here, okay. Here in this data init function, I was giving the customer key and hard coding it there. You know, following me? let's say
Yes,
data extension field here.
retrieve, no? In
So
the retrieve,
sorry,
in that retrieve function or init function, like yes,
init
yes.
function. Inside the retrieve, we didn't pass any argument. In the retrieve function, we basically pass. In the retrieve function, we basically pass the क्या कहते हैं filter, right?
Yes.
So for all the init functions, we were using customer key. So there we were using. So for that, we are hard coding here. Now I'm reviewing the hard coding from there. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I created a data extension. So I had data extensions like account details. Here I'm going to insert all the account related information, right? Business unit information. Here I need to insert all the users, account user details. Okay. Here inside this, I need to insert data extension details, right? So I had this external key. I have this external key. I have this external key. So I created a object config data extension, and here inside here, I added 3 rows saying that I have an account, okay, I have a customer key. I have an account user, I have a customer key, I have a data extension and a customer key. So whenever I'm doing a retrieve account, after that, I got all the records, and to add it into a data extension, okay, I'm looking for a customer key for that account data extension. From the data extension, I'm retrieving the customer key. Okay. And then after that, I'm doing the add account records. So when I say add account records, is going to this particular function. So it is looking for customer key and records. Customer key for init function, and records is to basically populate the value, right? So if I go back here, okay, this get account is this retrieve. Whenever we do retrieve account, we are getting that JSON array. Follow me?
Yes, yes.
Similarly, we did for account user and adding to the account user data extension, and then retrieve data extension and adding to the data extension. Okay. Now, see, I've removed, I think this is a reusable component. Anybody can copy and paste, and if they have those data extension and all, right? Then the only thing they need to modify would be this, what data extension name they give. This is only the hard coding that I have done. This one and the property name. And so only this part, some people might have to go and modify to do the lookup. Other things they don't have even have to touch. Following?
Yes, yes, yes. So in this
Now-
SSJS, what we do is first we need to write those functions that we want to run, and then in the try and catch block, in the try block, we can just like perform the activities or call those functions that we have written and use them, right?
So see the same SSJS what I showed you just now. I have created this in the code resource, right? So I'm doing a retrieve account. I can call all this retrieve into a single one, and ऐसे भी कर सकते हैं just to make it simple. Okay, let me copy this. The way you can do it. Okay, so I do this. Instead of this also, I could have done this way. All the retrieve in one particular area, and all the add function into another area, right? So I did this, okay, and all the lookup into another area. Depends on programmer to programmer how they want to do it. And then this line will do the insert into the data extension, right? So either you can follow this way, saying that, okay, retrieve the account details, retrieve the account user details, and retrieve data extension details, and store into these different variables. Okay. fetch the customer key for the account, fetch the customer key for the user, fetch the customer key for the data extension, right? And then add those records into the data extension with this customer key, okay, with this customer key for the account and that record. Then add account user with this customer key and that JSON array, okay, and into the data extension properties, add this data extension customer and the data extension array. Either you can write this way or either you write this way, saying that this is मतलब एक simple way में the people understands, right? Retrieve the account, get the customer key, and add the data into data extension. Retrieve the account user, get the customer key, add the records. Retrieve the data extension, get the customer key, and add it to the data extension. Clear? So I've used 3 different accounts, and why I just used 3 different retrieve here. Okay, I'll tell you why. Let's say I want to clean this record. I want to clean this record. It has 279 records, right? Though anyway, it's a small number, but sometimes if you have more than 50,000 records, 60,000 records, or more than that, then from here only is this code resource only, or in the cloud base, you will understand. You should not give lot of functions and write lot of functions. 2-minute period is now is so you have to wait for some time. And if it passes 2 minutes, it will give a timeout error or तुम्हारा गंडगोल हो गया. So operation completed successfully. Let me go to its data extension and see this one record is created here. Okay. Account user 279 is created here. Okay. Data extension 200 is done. Following me? Are you guys
Yes,
clear what I'm saying? Okay. Now, let me again clear this. And for all this kind of processing, you're processing and storing the data extension, right? So for that, Cloud Page and Code Resource has some limitation, okay, running, for all this kind of things. So what I can do is I created this session SSJS session 2, the same SSJS code. I wrote it here. Okay, I wrote here, and then if you want to see, I can copy and show it that to validate that is the same code or not. Okay, copy, paste it, and make sure you see if you want to be a good programmer or not, you have to give proper description functions and all. This is a very limited thing what I'm showing you all, but I tried more than this. Okay, what I'm doing here, why I'm doing here, I've mentioned everything so that the other person who reads my code understands it fully. So I'm copying this here and delete this and paste it here. Validate the syntax and then finish it, save it, and I'll just run this particular script. So before that, let me see if I've cleared everything. Yeah, I've cleared everything. I only have the config one, which has all these values and all. And run once. Let me select the last one. Run. Okay. Good. Let's get. Okay. Till it runs, we'll see. These details obviously will. जब तक ये रन नहीं होगा वहां पर पॉपुलेट तो होगा नहीं. हाँ, started running. Okay. So if you are doing for huge records, then you have to use automation. But anyway, even with this core functions and platform functions, you still have limitations. Okay, when you have huge records, we have to use WS proxy, which is much better than this normal retrieve function, And when we go to WS proxy, then you'll start liking SSJS more. Okay. And I didn't want to basically load everyone at a go, saying that ye bhi kar sakte ho, wo bhi kar sakte ho. A lot of people do not digest, and that's what I don't like. Okay. So you see, this record is created. Okay. Account details, account user also created. Okay. Data extension also created. So here, what you could have also done was you could have write a function to get all the attributes as well, right? So here, what we did was just doing the data extension retrieve. Yeah. So this was account retrieve, and this was account user retrieve, and this was data extension retrieve, right? And after storing these values, you can get this data extension, this particular data extension, and then use this inside a for loop to fetch all the what do you say, this name, object ID, field type, primary key, what are the attributes that has been used for each data extension. Okay. And then you can add it into a data extension. Inside the automation, you could have done that as well. You give this automation that ran only for, say, 28 seconds. And it worked fine. Now we have an option to run it for 30 minutes, right? So you could have done a lot of operations there. Okay. And what else we have? So hope you understand like how retrieve functions can be done and how you can optimize that code as well. You know, I'll show you one more thing here. Was we can run like we have this function of HTTP. HTTP function. We have get function, post function, and EC and CHTML browser and all. What are different things? But with API, okay, this is not the one. Let's say I called a open public API, okay, and I did it in email to show like where we can use all this SSJS is not only in automation or codes, uh, cloud page or code resource, but you can also use in email. Okay. So what I did was I called the API. Okay. And this time is for Barcelona. Timeline is for Barcelona. Okay. And in a very generic way, I didn't have much time to basically beautify all these things. So let me do the preview text and see. I get the weather report. So the weather report is, this is for time zone is Europe, Madrid. Okay. Days is, today is 6. Okay. And I can see that maximum temperature is of 25 degrees Celsius. Minimum temperature is 18 degrees, 18.9 degrees Celsius. And humidity is 79.8. And all this I can populate. Okay. And I can do the personalization with the emails if it is anything related to fetching an API, calling an API, and then showing it in email. Not much of a recommendation that needs to be done, but you can do all this API into emails, calling an API. But you'll be obviously loading a lot of throughput and all if you do a lot of API calls inside rendering an email. Is that clear?
Yes, Shashi.
Okay. Any questions now?
शशि ये जो एपीआई वाला किया इसके लिए कुछ अलग से भी करना होता है या फिर मतलब जैसे एग्जैक्टली इसका कुछ ऐसा रहता है कि हमें और भी कुछ यूज करना है?
No, simple. See, it's a very simple function, right? Like what we do retrieve.
URL you copied from a normal Google URL, right?
API URL, this one.
Yes.
So for any API, you always have a key code that you have to use. You have a lot of headers. I simply made it very simple to use. When we do Marketing Cloud API and all, I'll show you how we can configure in a much better way. It is a very generic way. But if you go here and see an example, say this HTTP GET. Okay, they have an example of HTTP GET here. Okay, so this is how they write a suppose very simple way. This is how they write. So this is how, like, first you give the URL, okay, and you give the header, all the header and all the values. So in Marketing Cloud for headers, if you see Postman, let's say, I don't want to go here, okay, but
Okay,
in my workplace for Marketing Cloud, but let me show you. So Marketing Cloud APIs. So let's say REST API, not okay. We are doing SSJS. First, go with the SOAP API. So let's say SOAP API, we want to do GET. So very less GET function there. That's also everything is post. Okay, GET कुछ तो होना चाहिए. Anyway, GET user info. This is a REST API. So if you go to this header, यहाँ पे तो थोड़ा जेनेरिक वे में दिखा देगा, but like authorization, yeah. So we have in Marketing Cloud, we have authorization with a bearer token, client ID, client secret करके जो whatever we get a token, that becomes a bearer token. So authorization header will be authorization, right? So I go here and make this authorization. Then another one will be content type. So another header will be content type, and I'll simply copy this content type. आ गया, ठीक है, उसको modify कर लेते. This is the header, and then you give the values. Okay, bearer token का token value, and then the content type as application JSON. Then we hit the HTTP GET, and then we do response status, which is basically 200. It's okay, and then we write the response. What is the response? So when we do API, like we are doing SSJS, and SSJS is mostly done for API now, right? So not covering in the second session, but in some other sessions we'll do that, and we'll do in a very different way, and then you'll come to understand, okay, how this API and everything. Even if you go here, say SSJS, right? So this token with this token one, this one. So I've given an example how to run an API. So I'm doing a post, right, and retrieving the token. But I don't want to start explaining in the second session. Let's go slow and let people understand this, because everybody wants to understand SSS.
Yes.
Any other questions? Let's see who all are attending. Okay. I don't want to make it a very long session nowadays, so I want to make it a very simple session so everybody understands. Ankita, you understood, right?